The water was black, colder than anything Darius Cole had ever felt. His lungs screamed, his arms burned, but he kept pulling, dragging the unconscious man through the twisted metal of the sinking jet, through the fuel-slicked waves, toward the distant shore. The man's expensive suit was soaked through. Blood ran from a gash on his temple. His lips were blue. Darius didn't know his name, didn't know he was a CEO, didn't know he was a billionaire. He just knew someone was drowning. When they finally hit the muddy bank, Darius collapsed onto his knees and started CPR. His hands shook violently. Water poured from the man's mouth. The man's eyes flickered open. He stared at Darius, really stared, like he was memorizing his face. Then the paramedics arrived and everything went white with sirens and shouting. What Darius didn't know, what he couldn't possibly know, was that the man he'd just saved had been searching for someone exactly like him for 15 years. And in 72 hours, that man would offer him something no one saw coming, something that would leave everyone speechless. 3 days earlier, Darius didn't know anything about private jets or billionaires. He knew about insulin rationing, about holes in shoes, about choosing between groceries and electricity. He knew about surviving. The alarm went off at 4:45 a.m. Darius didn't snooze. He couldn't afford to. He rolled out of the pull-out couch in the studio apartment's main room, careful not to wake Maya. His 14-year-old sister was curled up on the other end, her math textbook still open on her chest. She'd fallen asleep, studying again. Darius gently closed the book and tucked a blanket around her shoulders. In the tiny kitchen area, he made oatmeal on the one working burner. The apartment in Gary, Indiana wasn't much. Peeling wallpaper, a bathroom door that didn't close all the way, windows that rattled when trucks passed. But it was spotlessly clean. That was Grandma Lorraine's rule, and Darius kept it. He portioned out his grandmother's morning medications with the precision of a pharmacist. 7 pills, 2 with food, 5 after. He'd memorized the routine years ago. Then he checked the insulin supply in the mini-fridge. 4 doses left. Payday was Friday. 3 days away. He'd have to stretch it. Maya's school shoes sat by the door. The soles had holes. She'd colored over them with black marker, trying to hide it. Darius felt something twist in his chest. When she wasn't looking last night, he'd slipped his last $20 into her backpack. For lunch money. She'd argue if she knew, so he didn't tell her. His phone buzzed. A reminder he'd set 2 years ago and never deleted. Purdue orientation today. Darius stared at it, then deleted it. Again. The acceptance letter was still in his drawer. Full-ride academic scholarship to Purdue's engineering program. He'd deferred twice already. They'd told him it was his last chance. Accept this year or lose it. But how could he leave? Their mother died giving birth to Maya. Their father, Antoine, had been incarcerated since Darius was 12. Wrongfully convicted of theft at the factory where he worked, though Darius didn't learn the wrongfully part until much later. It was just the 3 of them now. Darius, Maya, and Grandma Lorraine, who'd raised them both but whose wheelchair-bound body couldn't work anymore. Darius kissed his grandmother's forehead on his way out. She stirred, caught his wrist. "You're a good boy," she whispered. "Your daddy would be proud. Get some rest, Grandma. You too, baby. You work too hard." He locked the 3 deadbolts and started walking. 20 minutes to the marina. His bike had been stolen last month. Not worth reporting. Just another Tuesday in this neighborhood. He passed the shuttered factories where his father used to work, before the arrest, before everything fell apart. Sometimes, late at night, Darius let himself wonder what if. What if he'd gone to Purdue 2 years ago? What if he was in a dorm room right now, solving equations, building prototypes, becoming the engineer he'd dreamed of being? But those thoughts never lasted long. Because Maya needed school supplies, Grandma needed medications, the rent was due, and dreaming didn't pay bills. At the marina, Lou was already in the office, coffee in hand. The old man looked up when Darius clocked in. "Kid, you look like hell." "Good morning to you too, Mr. Lou." "I'm serious. You getting enough sleep?" "Enough." Lou didn't look convinced, but he let it drop. He'd been Darius's boss for 3 years now. Gruff, fair, the closest thing Darius had to a mentor. "Got a full day today," Lou said. "Bunch of boats need fueling, and we got a VIP charter coming in tomorrow." "VIP? Some corporate hotshot from Chicago. Last-minute booking. Private jet, the whole deal. Probably hiding from paparazzi or something." Darius nodded and headed out to the docks. The work was physical. Hauling fuel lines, scrubbing barnacles, checking safety equipment. But Darius liked it. Liked working with his hands. Liked that when he triple-checked a fuel connection, he knew it was secure. Lou noticed. "You triple-check everything like lives depend on it." Darius shrugged. "Because they do, Mr. Lou. They always do." At lunch, a tourist family was struggling with their outboard motor. Darius wandered over. "Need a hand?" The father looked relieved. "Yeah, man. Thing just died on us." Darius popped the engine cover, spotted the problem in 30 seconds. Flooded carburetor. Fixed it in 5 minutes. The father pulled out his wallet. "Here, let me give you something." "Nah, you're good." "Come on, man, $50, you earned it." Darius shook his head. "Just pass it forward." After they left, his co-worker Marcus shook his head. "D, you know you needs that money more than they do." "Maybe, but needed and deserved are different things." Marcus laughed. "Where'd you get that from? Fortune cookie?" "My grandma. She used to volunteer at free clinics even when she couldn't afford her own medication. She said if you only help people when it's convenient, you're not really helping." "Your grandma sounds like a saint." "She is." What Darius didn't say was that sometimes he resented it. That philosophy. That moral high ground that kept him broke and exhausted. But then he'd remember his father's last words before going to prison. "Take care of them, son. Be the man I couldn't be." So he was. Even if it was killing him. Even if he'd never get to Purdue. Even if his own dreams had to die so Maya could have hers. That's just how it was. That evening, Lou called him into the office before clocking out. "Listen, kid. That Chicago VIP I mentioned? His plane's coming in tomorrow afternoon. Big storm's supposed to roll in, though. Might get bumpy. Want me here for it?" "Yeah, just in case." Darius nodded. "I'll be here." He didn't know it yet, but that decision would change absolutely everything. Showing up for a shift he didn't have to take, for a stranger he'd never met. It would save 2 lives, reunite a family torn apart by injustice, and create a bond that would rewrite the future for everyone involved. But right now he was just a tired 19-year-old trying to make it to Friday. The storm warnings came early. By 2 p.m. the next day, dark clouds were rolling in fast over Lake Michigan, the kind that made even experienced sailors nervous. The marina radio crackled with small craft warnings, wind gusts hitting 40 miles per hour, visibility dropping. The Coast Guard was telling everyone to get off the water. Lou stood at the window, watching the sky turn dark. This is gonna be bad. Most of the boats were already secured. Darius had spent the morning double-checking lines, making sure nothing would break loose. "Kid, why don't you head home early?" Lou said. Darius shook his head. "You said there's still that charter coming in." Lou frowned, checked his watch. "Supposed to land at 3, but in this weather..." He grabbed the radio, switched frequencies. Static, then a voice. "Marina, this is Lakefront Air Control. Citation jet inbound ETA 15 minutes. Pilot's been notified of conditions." Lou keyed the mic. "Copy. Conditions deteriorating fast. Recommend delay." "Understood. Pilot wants to attempt landing." Lou hung up, muttered something. "Rich people think money buys good weather." The wind picked up. Darius could taste rain. At 3:15 p.m., he heard it. The high whine of jet engines fighting crosswinds. He looked up. A small private jet was approaching, getting thrown around like a toy. Lou ran out with binoculars. Jesus, he's not going to make it. Tower audio crackled. Citation November 7-2 Delta, recommend wave off. Winds gusting 45 knots. The pilot's voice tense. Tower, unable to gain altitude. We're committed. The jet dropped toward the runway. Too fast, too steep. Wheels touched hard, bounced, touched again. Then the worst sound Darius had ever heard. A sickening engine sputter. The jet tried to climb, banking hard to avoid trees, but without full power it wasn't climbing. It clipped the treetops. Metal shrieking, branches exploding, then dropped into the lake 400 yards offshore. No fireball, just a heavy, terrible splash. Then it started sinking. Lou was already on the phone. Plane down in the lake, 400 yards north of the marina. Dispatcher? Coast Guard en route, ETA 15 minutes. Darius was already running. Kid, wait for the pros, Lou yelled. But Darius knew the math. Water temp 52 degrees. Hypothermia set in fast. Unconsciousness in 10 minutes. 15 minutes was too long. He stripped his jacket, kicked off boots, grabbed an emergency vest and rope, then dove in. The cold hit like a punch. Every muscle seized, lungs refused to work. Then training kicked in. He'd swum these waters since he was 6. Breathe. Stroke. Breathe. Stroke. The wreckage was sinking fast, nose already underwater, tail pointing up. Through the cracked window, 2 figures. Pilot slumped over controls. Passenger struggling in back. The passenger saw Darius. Started pounding glass. A middle-aged man in an expensive suit. Blood on his temple. Eyes wide. He mouthed something. Can't get the belt. Water pouring into the cabin. Darius reached the fuselage, grabbed the pontoon, his hands already numb. He tried the emergency exit, opened inward. Water pressure jammed it shut. Swam to the pilot door. Above waterline. Barely. Pulled. Nothing. Pulled harder. The door gave with a groan. Water rushed in faster. The plane lurched, sinking deeper. Darius crawled inside. Water to his waist now. The passenger was fading, concussed, hands fumbling uselessly at the seatbelt. Darius pulled his rescue knife. Always carried one. Marina protocol. Cut through the belt in 2 hard motions. The passenger slumped. Darius caught him. Behind them, the pilot wasn't moving, one at a time. Come back for him. He dragged the passenger toward the door. The plane groaned, tilting steeper. Seconds left. Darius pulled the man through and back into freezing water just as the tail rose vertical. The jet slipped beneath the surface with a hiss of bubbles. 1 man saved, 1 still inside. Darius took 3 deep breaths. Grandma's technique for panic attacks. Dove back down. Inside, the cabin was almost flooded. The pilot submerged to his neck, trapped by crushed controls. Darius tried to pull him, wouldn't budge. The man's leg was pinned under the collapsed panel. Darius dove under, tried to lift the metal. Impossibly heavy. Lungs screamed, surfaced, gasped, dove again. 3rd attempt. Used a piece of broken seat as a lever. Braced his feet. Pulled with everything. Every box lifted, every engine hauled, the metal shifted. An inch. Enough. Dragged the pilot free. Not breathing. The plane lurched. Darius pulled him through the cabin, out the door. Surfaced as the plane disappeared completely. Now 2 men, 1 barely conscious, 1 not breathing. Shore 400 yards away. He looped the pilot through one side of the vest, the businessman through the other. Started a desperate side stroke. Every muscle burning. Cold seeping into his core. Halfway there, vision started tunneling. Thought of Maya, Grandma's voice. Finish what you start, baby. Coast Guard boat appeared, still 200 yards out. Didn't wait. Kept swimming. Finally. Feet touched mud, dragged both men ashore. Collapsed. Lou was there, EMTs rushing down. Darius started CPR on the pilot. Sloppy, exhausted. But he remembered the training. Compressions. 1, 2, 3. Arms shaking violently. Lou tried to pull him off. Son, let them. Not done. 18th compression. The pilot coughed, water spewing. EMTs took over. Darius rolled onto his back, chest heaving, staring at gray sky. The businessman was awake now, being loaded onto a stretcher, but he was looking back at Darius. Intense, focused, memorizing his face. Darius had saved one man. But the clock was still ticking, and the hardest part was just beginning. The businessman was out of the water, breathing, alive. But the pilot was still unconscious, still not breathing, and every second mattered. Darius didn't think. His body moved on instinct. He rolled the pilot onto his back, tilted his head back, checked for a pulse. Faint, barely there. Started compressions. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. His arms were shaking so badly he could barely keep rhythm. The cold had seeped deep into his bones. His muscles felt like rubber. But he kept going. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Lou was kneeling beside him now. Darius, stop. Let the paramedics do it. Not yet. 11, 12, 13. Come on. 14, 15, 16. His vision was blurring. From exhaustion or hypothermia, he didn't know. 17, 18. The pilot's body convulsed. Water erupted from his mouth. A horrible choking sound. Then coughing, gasping, breathing. The EMTs rushed in, took over. Oxygen mask, stretcher. Rapid-fire medical jargon Darius didn't understand. He collapsed backward onto the muddy shore. Someone wrapped a thermal blanket around his shoulders. Another paramedic was checking his vitals, shining a light in his eyes. Son, can you hear me? What's your name? Darius, he managed. His teeth were chattering so hard he could barely speak. Darius, you're hypothermic. We need to get you warmed up. Can you stand? He tried. His legs buckled. 2 paramedics caught him, guided him to sitting. Easy. Just sit. We've got you. Through the chaos of voices and sirens, Darius heard something that made him look up. The businessman was conscious now, sitting on a stretcher 20 feet away, refusing to lie down. He was staring at Darius. Even with blood running down his face, even wrapped in blankets, there was something sharp in his eyes. Intelligent, calculating, like he was memorizing every detail. A sheriff's deputy approached with a notepad. Son, I need to get your statement. What's your name? Darius Cole. Age? 19. Can you tell me what happened? Darius kept it short. Saw the plane go down, swam out, got them both out. The deputy stared at him. You swam out in 50-degree water, pulled 2 grown men out of a sinking aircraft, by yourself. Yes, sir. Son, that wasn't luck. That was heroism. Darius didn't respond. He was watching the ambulances, watching the EMTs load the pilot and the businessman. Were they going to be okay? Really okay? Lou came over, gripped his shoulder hard. Kid, you just saved 2 lives. You know that, right? Hope so. Hope. Darius, I watched you do CPR for damn near a minute straight while you were half frozen. That man was dead. You brought him back. Darius just nodded. He felt numb. Not from the cold. From something else. The businessman was being loaded into the ambulance now, but he stopped the EMTs, said something to them. One of the paramedics jogged over to Darius. Hey, the passenger wants to know your name. Darius Cole. The paramedic nodded, jogged back. The businessman looked at Darius one more time, mouthed something. Thank you. Then the ambulance doors closed. They were gone. Lou sat down beside Darius. Come on, kid. Let's get you to the hospital. Get you checked out. I'm fine. You're not fine. You're half frozen, and you just pulled off a rescue that would have killed most people. You're going to the hospital. Darius didn't have the energy to argue. At the ER, they treated him for mild hypothermia. Warm blankets, warm IV fluids, monitoring. He texted Maya, "I'm okay, at the hospital. Nothing serious, don't worry, Grandma." She called immediately. "Dee, what happened?" "I'm fine, just helping someone, I'll explain later. The news is saying someone saved people from a plane crash. Was that you?" Darius closed his eyes. Of course, the news had picked it up already. "Yeah, that was me." Maya's voice cracked. "Are you insane? You could have died." "But I didn't." Silence, then quieter. "I'm glad you're okay." "Me too, sis." An hour later, Maya and Grandma Lorraine arrived. Maya practically tackled him with a hug. "Don't ever do that again." "Can't promise that." Grandma wheeled up to his bedside. Her eyes were wet. "Boy, don't you ever scare me like that again." "Sorry, Grandma, but I couldn't just watch them drown." She reached up, cupped his face. "I know, baby. I know." "You got your daddy's courage and my stubbornness." A hospital administrator approached, middle-aged woman with a clipboard. "Mr. Cole, I'm Sarah Carter, hospital admin. The two men you rescued are both stable. The pilot is in ICU but expected to make a full recovery. The passenger, Mr. Harrison, is being treated for a concussion and minor lacerations. He insisted I find you. He wants to thank you personally." "Mr. Harrison?" "Ryan Harrison. Would you like to see him?" Darius shook his head. "Just wanted to know they're okay." "Are you sure?" He was very insistent. "I'm sure. I need to get my family home." Sarah nodded but pulled out a business card. "He asked me to give you this. Said to call any time." Darius took the card. Heavy cardstock. Embossed lettering. Ryan Harrison, CEO, Harrison Tech Industries. Below it, a Chicago address. A private cell number. An email. Darius stared at it. The name meant nothing to him. He'd been too busy surviving to follow tech news. He pocketed it politely. "Thank you." After she left, Maya grabbed the card out of his pocket. Her eyes went wide. "DD, is this the Ryan Harrison? Like the billionaire?" "What are you talking about?" Maya pulled out her phone. Cracked screen, hand-me-down Android. Started typing. Pulled up a Forbes article. Shoved it in his face. "Harrison Tech Industries unveils $500 STEM Scholarship Fund. CEO seeks everyday heroes to invest in." There was a photo. A light-skinned black man in his late 40s. Sharp suit, confident smile. The same man Darius had just pulled out of a sinking jet. Darius stared. "You saved a billionaire," Maya whispered. "I saved a person," Darius corrected. "Didn't know who he was." "Dee, do you know what this means? He could help us. He could—" "Maya, stop." "But I didn't do it for a reward." Grandma put a hand on Maya's shoulder. "Leave it, baby. Your brother did what was right. That's all that matters." But Maya was still staring at the business card. And Darius knew even then that this wasn't over. People like Ryan Harrison didn't forget things like this. The doctors cleared him 2 hours later. Mild hypothermia, no permanent damage, rest and warmth. Lou drove them home in his truck. When they pulled up, there was a news van parked on the street. "Oh, hell no," Lou muttered. "You want me to tell them to leave?" "Please." Lou got out, had sharp words with the reporter. They packed up and left. Inside, Darius collapsed onto the pull-out couch. Maya brought him tea. Grandma covered him with every blanket they owned. "Get some sleep, baby," Grandma said. But Darius couldn't sleep. He kept seeing it. The sinking plane, the pilot's face, the cold water rising, the way Ryan Harrison had looked at him, like he was memorizing him, like this was just the beginning of something. Darius pulled out the business card again, stared at it in the dim light. Ryan Harrison, CEO, billionaire. He thought about throwing it away, but something stopped him. Maybe curiosity. Maybe something else. He tucked it into his wallet instead, and tried not to think about what came next. Darius thought that was the end of the story. He was wrong. The next morning, someone knocked on the apartment door at 8 a.m. A courier stood there in a crisp uniform, holding a large envelope. Darius Cole? Yeah. Sign here, please. Darius signed. The courier handed him the envelope and left. It was heavy, expensive paper, the kind rich people used. Maya appeared behind him. What is it? Darius opened it. Inside was a check and a handwritten note on thick stationery. He looked at the check first. $25,000, made out to Darius Cole, signed by Ryan Harrison. Oh my God, Maya breathed, looking over his shoulder. Darius stared at it. More money than he'd seen in his entire life. More than he'd make in a year at both jobs combined. He could pay off the medical bills, fix the leaking pipes, buy Maya new shoes, new clothes, new everything, restock Grandma's medications for 6 months. His hands were shaking. The note read, Darius, words cannot express my gratitude. This is not payment. It's a token of respect. Please accept it. You saved my life and Thomas's. I owe you everything. Ryan Harrison. Grandma wheeled into the room. What's going on? Darius showed her the check. Her hand went to her mouth. Maya was practically bouncing. D, you gonna cash it? Long pause. Darius stared at all those zeros, all the problems it could solve, all the weight it could lift off his shoulders. But something felt wrong. No, he said quietly. What? Maya's voice shot up. Are you crazy? I can't take this. Why not? You earned it. You saved his life. Did I? I just did what anybody should have done. Taking money for that feels wrong, like I did it for a reward, like I was waiting to get paid. But we need that money. I know. His voice was soft. Believe me, I know. Grandma was quiet, just watching him. But if I take it, Darius continued, then I'm not who I thought I was. I'm not the person Dad told me to be. I'm not the person you raised, Grandma. Maya looked like she wanted to argue more, but Grandma put a hand on her arm. Let him be, baby. Darius sat down at the tiny kitchen table, found a pen and paper, wrote a note. Mr. Harrison, I appreciate the gesture, but I can't accept this. I didn't pull you out of that lake for a reward. I did it because it was the right thing to do. I hope you and Thomas recover fully. Darius Cole. He put the check and the note back in the envelope, added the business card Ryan had given him with his phone number written on the back, just in case Ryan wanted to reach him for some reason, though Darius doubted he would. He called a courier service, paid $12 he couldn't really afford to send it back. After the courier picked it up, Maya just stared at him. I can't believe you just did that. I had to. We need new shoes, Dee. Grandma needs medicine. You need to eat something other than oatmeal. I know all that, but Maya, if I take money for saving someone's life, what does that make me? Some kind of mercenary? Someone who only helps people if there's a paycheck? It makes you smart. It makes me something I don't want to be. Grandma wheeled closer, put her hand on his. Baby, why didn't you take it? Tell me the real reason. Darius was quiet for a long moment. Because Dad told me something before he went away. He said, son, the world's gonna try to make you hard. Gonna try to make you think everything's a transaction. Don't let it. Stay soft where it counts. His voice cracked a little. If I take that money, I prove the world right. I prove that everything has a price. Even doing the right thing. Grandma's eyes were wet now. You're just like your father. Is that good? It's everything, baby. It's everything. Maya sighed, but she hugged him. You're an idiot. But you're my idiot. 3 hours later, Darius's phone rang. Unknown Chicago number. He almost didn't answer, but something made him pick up. Hello? A warm, raspy voice, still recovering from the accident. Darius? It's Ryan Harrison. Darius sat up straight. Mr. Harrison, how are you feeling? I'm alive, thanks to you. I just got your package. The check, the note. I'm sorry, but I meant what I said. I can't... I know. The courier told me you refused. He also said you looked like you hadn't eaten in a week. Darius didn't know what to say to that. Ryan's voice was gentle. Darius, I respect what you did. Returning the money. It tells me everything I need to know about you. But I want you to know something. What's that? This won't be the last time you hear from me. I never forget a debt. And I have a feeling you and I are going to know each other for a long time. Before Darius could respond, Ryan added one more thing. Also, there's something about your father you need to know, but not over the phone. I'll call you soon. Then he hung up. Darius stared at his phone. Something about his father? What could a billionaire tech CEO possibly know about Antoine Cole? He had no idea. But something told him his life had just changed in ways he couldn't begin to understand. Darius tried to move on, but Ryan Harrison wasn't a man who forgot debts. Over the next 48 hours, odd things started happening. Wednesday morning, Lou called Darius into the marina office, looking confused. Kid, weirdest thing. Payroll said there was an accounting error with your paychecks. You've been underpaid for 6 months. Lou handed him an envelope. Here's the back pay, $3,200. Darius stared. Lou, we both know that's not real. Lou shrugged. Boss's orders from corporate. I'm not arguing with corporations. Don't look a gift horse in the mouth, kid. Darius pocketed the check, stomach twisting. He knew exactly where this came from. That afternoon, Maya came home glowing. Dee, someone paid off my student lunch debt, the whole year, and left an anonymous donation for the after-school program, $5,000. Darius closed his eyes. Maya, isn't that amazing? Yeah, amazing. Thursday morning, a pharmacy van pulled up. The driver knocked. Delivery for Lorraine Cole? Grandma wheeled over. I didn't order anything. 3-month supply of insulin and medications, fully paid. Community Health Initiative. Darius took the boxes. The invoice showed zero balance, sponsored by an organization he'd never heard of. He Googled it. Largest donor? Harrison Tech Industries. After the driver left, Darius sat down, head in his hands. He's doing it anyway. Who, baby? Grandma asked. Ryan Harrison. I refused his money, so he's finding ways around it. Is that so bad? I don't know. Part of me is grateful, but part of me feels manipulated. That afternoon, Darius called Ryan's number, got an executive assistant. Mr. Harrison is in recovery, but he's been asking about you. He'll call soon. Darius left a message. Mr. Harrison, I appreciate what you're trying to do, but... He stopped. Didn't know how to finish. Hung up. Meanwhile, the news picked up the story. Local hero saves tech CEO. Darius declined interviews, but it spread anyway. Regional news, viral TikTok, national morning show segment. One segment mentioned something interesting. Ryan Harrison has a reputation for never forgetting those who help him. Sources say he once spent years tracking down a good Samaritan. Darius watched that clip 3 times. Years tracking someone down? Friday night, 9 p.m. His phone rang. Unknown Chicago number. Darius answered immediately. Hello? Ryan's voice was stronger now. Darius, it's Ryan Harrison. We need to talk. There's something about your father you need to know. Darius's heart pounded. What about my father? Not over the phone. Can we video call? I want you to see my face when I tell you this. 10 minutes later, Darius stared at his phone screen. Ryan sat in a hospital room, bandage on his temple, eyes sharp. And Darius realized something he hadn't noticed during the rescue. Ryan Harrison was black. Light-skinned, but unmistakably black. Darius, Ryan said, voice thick with emotion. I need to ask you something. How old are you? 19. Why? And your father? What's his name? Ice in Darius's stomach. Antoine Cole. He's been incarcerated since I was 12. Why are you asking me this? Ryan closed his eyes, took a shaky breath, opened them. Because 15 years ago, your father saved my life. What Ryan Harrison revealed next would shatter everything Darius thought he knew and give him something he'd lost years ago. Darius stared at the screen. What did you just say? Ryan's voice was steady, but his eyes were wet. 15 years ago, I was nobody. I was a 32-year-old black programmer from the south side of Chicago, working 2 jobs, sleeping in my car between shifts, trying to get my startup off the ground. Darius couldn't speak. Ryan continued. One night I was working late at a warehouse in Gary, Indiana. Same warehouse you work at now, actually, the overnight shift. I was in the parking lot around 2 a.m. heading to my car when 3 guys jumped me. He paused, collecting himself. They wanted my laptop, my phone. I fought back. Stupid move. One of them had a knife. Darius's hands were shaking. I was on the ground, bleeding, and they were kicking me. I thought I was going to die in that parking lot. Then I heard someone yell, "Hey, get away from him." Ryan's voice cracked. A warehouse worker came running, big guy, fearless. He didn't even hesitate. Fought them off. 3 against 1, and he didn't care. Stayed with me until the ambulance came. Refused any reward. All he said was, "Just pass it forward, young brother." Darius felt like the floor had dropped out from under him. That man's name was Antoine Cole. Your father saved my life 15 years ago. That's impossible, Darius whispered. Dad never mentioned you. Never said anything about saving anyone. I don't think he remembered me. It was just another Tuesday night for him. But for me? Ryan shook his head. That laptop they wanted? It had the only copy of my company's prototype code. No backup, no cloud storage. I was too broke for servers. If I'd lost it, Harrison Tech would never have existed. Ryan leaned closer to the camera. 2 weeks later, I landed my first investor meeting with that code. Eventually sold the company for $200 million. Built it back up to a $4 billion valuation. Every step of my success traces back to that parking lot in Gary, Indiana. Darius was crying now, didn't bother hiding it. I tried to find him, Darius. I hired investigators, searched for years. Antoine Cole, common name. By the time I tracked him down, he was already incarcerated. I sent money for his legal defense, but he refused it. Pride, I guess. Just like his son. Darius wiped his eyes. He never told us. 7 years in prison, and he never said anything about you. That's the thing about real heroes, Darius. They don't keep score. Ryan's voice grew more intense. When I was in that sinking plane, half-conscious, I saw your face, and something about it felt familiar. Then I heard your last name, Cole. I thought, no way. The universe isn't that poetic. But I had my team pull your background. Your father, Antoine Cole, arrested 7 years ago. Same Gary address where I was saved. Ryan pulled out a folder, held it up to the camera. After I confirmed it was your father, I couldn't let it go. I hired investigators to look into his case. Darius tensed. Why would you do that? Because your father saved me when I had nothing. I owed him. And what I found, Ryan's jaw tightened. Darius, your father was wrongfully convicted. The room seemed to tilt. What? Ryan opened the folder, started pulling out documents. Antoine discovered his factory supervisor was embezzling, stealing from worker pension funds. Your father was going to report it. The supervisor found out, planted evidence in your father's locker, bribed witnesses to say they saw him stealing tools and materials. Darius couldn't breathe. Your father never stood a chance. Overworked public defender, no money for a proper investigation. The case was rushed through in 6 months. How do you know this? Darius's voice was barely a whisper. I found the original investigator. He's retired now, living in Florida. Guilty conscience. He admitted they rushed the case, that evidence didn't add up, but the prosecutor wanted a conviction. I found one of the witnesses who recanted, said the supervisor paid him $5,000 to lie. Ryan held up printed emails. I have emails proving the supervisor's embezzlement, bank transfers, everything. The supervisor is still out there, retired on stolen pension money. Darius was shaking so hard he could barely hold the phone. Ryan's voice softened, but grew firm. For the past 6 weeks, since the crash, I've been working with the best criminal defense attorneys in the country. We filed a motion to vacate your father's conviction. We have new evidence, new witnesses, we have proof. When? Darius managed. The hearing is in 10 days, Cook County Courthouse. I can't guarantee we'll win, Darius. The system doesn't like admitting mistakes. But I promise you this. I will fight for your father the way he fought for me in that parking lot. Ryan leaned forward, eyes locked on Darius. You gave me my life back when you pulled me out of that lake. Now I'm going to do everything in my power to give you your father back. Not in 2 years when his sentence ends. Now. Darius couldn't speak, couldn't think. 15 years. Full circle. His father saved Ryan. Ryan became a billionaire. Darius saved Ryan. And now Ryan was fighting to free his father. Why? Darius finally asked. Why would you do all this? Ryan's voice was thick with emotion. Because 15 years ago, your father told me something while we waited for the ambulance. He said, young brother, we gotta look out for each other. System ain't built for us. We're all we got. Ryan wiped his eyes. That stayed with me every single day since. Your father saved me when I was drowning in poverty. You saved me when I was drowning in that lake. Now it's my turn. This is what pass it forward means. Darius was sobbing openly now. I don't know what to say. Don't say anything yet. Just know this. 10 days from now, we're going to walk into that courthouse, and we're going to bring your father home. The screen went dark as Ryan ended the call. Darius sat there in the tiny apartment, phone in his shaking hands, and let himself hope for the first time in 7 years. His father might come home. Not might. Would. Because Ryan Harrison didn't forget debts, and he'd just spent 6 weeks building a case that could shatter the injustice that had torn Darius's family apart. But Ryan Harrison wasn't finished. What came next would change not just Darius's life, but his entire family's future. 10 days felt like 10 years. Darius couldn't sleep, couldn't eat. He kept replaying Ryan's words. Your father was wrongfully convicted. We're going to bring him home. He told Maya and Grandma everything. They cried together, prayed together, hoped together. The morning of the hearing, Ryan sent a car. A black SUV pulled up at 7 a.m. The driver helped Grandma's wheelchair inside. They drove to Chicago, to the Cook County Courthouse. Ryan was waiting outside courtroom 4B, flanked by 5 attorneys in expensive suits. When he saw Darius, he walked over. They hugged. Thank you for doing this, Darius whispered. Thank me when we win, Ryan said. The hearing lasted 4 hours. Darius watched as Ryan's team systematically dismantled the original case, recanted witness testimony, recorded confession from the retired investigator, emails proving embezzlement, bank records, timeline inconsistencies. The prosecutor objected, but the evidence was overwhelming. The factory supervisor appeared via video from Florida. He looked terrified, refused to answer, invoked the Fifth Amendment, which only made him look guilty. At 2 p.m., the judge called a recess. 2 hours of waiting. Darius held Maya's hand. Grandma prayed. At 4 p.m., the judge returned. Having reviewed the newly discovered evidence, this court finds that Mr. Antoine Cole's conviction was based on fabricated evidence and coerced testimony. His conviction is hereby vacated. Mr. Cole is to be released immediately and compensated for wrongful imprisonment. The gavel came down. The courtroom erupted. Maya screamed. Grandma sobbed. Darius collapsed in his seat, unable to process it. Ryan stood in the back, tears streaming down his face. 6 hours later, Darius stood outside the prison gates. Maya beside him, Grandma in her wheelchair, Ryan at a respectful distance. The gates opened. Antoine Cole walked out. 7 years older, grayer, thinner, but alive, free. Darius ran. They collided in an embrace, both breaking down. Antoine kept saying it. I didn't do it, son. I swear I didn't. I know, Dad. I always knew. Maya crashed into them. Then Grandma. A family shattered for 7 years, finally whole. Antoine looked over Darius's shoulder, saw Ryan. His eyes widened. You're that kid, from the parking lot. Ryan nodded, walking over. Yeah, that's me. You found me. You saved me, Antoine. You gave me everything. They embraced. 2 black men, 2 generations, 2 rescues, 1 circle closed. That evening, Ryan hosted a private dinner at a Chicago restaurant. Closed to the public. Just family. Antoine, Darius, Maya, Grandma, Ryan, Thomas the pilot, Lou from the marina. Over dinner, stories were shared. Antoine learned how his kindness created a billionaire. Ryan heard about 7 years of maintained innocence. Thomas told Antoine, "Your son saved my life. He's a hero." Antoine looked at Darius with pride. He always has been. After dessert, Ryan asked to speak with Darius and Antoine privately. They moved to a quiet room. Ryan pulled out documents. Darius, everything I mentioned on the phone stands. Full ride scholarship to Purdue. Tuition. Housing. Books. Stipend. 4 years guaranteed. Antoine started to object. Mr. Harrison, that's too much. It's Ryan, and it's not enough. He turned to Antoine. I have a position for you, too. Community Outreach Director for my Second Chance initiative, helping formerly incarcerated people get tech training and jobs. 6-figure salary, full benefits. You know that system better than anyone. Antoine was speechless. There's also a trust fund for Lorraine's medical care, $250,000, and full education funding for Maya. Private school if you choose, plus college. Ryan looked at both of them. But there's one more thing. The most important. He pulled out legal documents. Darius, Antoine, I want to ask something I've never asked anyone. Darius, I would like to formally adopt you. Stunned silence. Ryan rushed to explain. Not to replace your father. Antoine will always be your father. But to become family in a different way. To add to your family. Not replace it. He looked at them both. I have a biological son, Michael. He's a good man. But we're distant. He grew up with privilege. We never connected the way I hoped. When I almost died in that lake, I realized legacy isn't about blood. It's about values. Ryan's voice cracked. You, Darius, embody everything I believe in. Courage, selflessness, integrity. The same things your father showed me 15 years ago. I don't want to be just your benefactor. I want to be your family. He turned to Antoine. Antoine, I'm not trying to replace you or take your son. I'm asking to share in raising him. To be the mentor you couldn't be because an unjust system stole 7 years from you. Antoine looked at Darius. Son, this is your decision. Darius looked between them. The father who raised him. The man who wanted to join their family. I don't know what to say. Ryan's voice was gentle. Say you'll think about it. This isn't a transaction, it's family. Legal adoption means you'd carry both names. Darius Cole Harrison. 2 fathers, 1 family. Darius's voice shook. You'd really do that? Even though I'm 19? Even though you have your own son? Darius, you saved my life. Your father saved my life. You've both shown me what real character looks like. I've built a billion-dollar company but failed at building the family I wanted. This is my chance to get it right, to honor what your father started. Long pause. Darius looked at Antoine. Dad? Antoine's eyes were wet. Baby boy, I've been gone 7 years. This man is offering everything I couldn't give. If you want this, I'm okay with it. You'll always be my son. Darius turned back to Ryan, tears flowing. Okay. Yes. Yes. Ryan broke down, pulled Darius into an embrace. Antoine joined, the 3 men holding each other. Ryan whispered, Thank you. Thank you both. And in that moment, a new family was born. Not from blood, but from kindness passed forward across 15 years. What happened next wasn't just a personal transformation. It became a movement that changed thousands of lives. 3 months later, Darius stood in a Cook County courtroom for the 2nd time. But this time was different. This time was joy. The room was packed. Antoine in a new suit beside Darius. Grandma Lorraine in the front row. Maya holding her hand. Ryan on Darius's other side. Thomas, the pilot. Lou from the marina. Even Michael Harrison, Ryan's biological son, had flown in. The judge looked down at the paperwork. Mr. Antoine Cole, do you consent to this adoption? Antoine's voice was strong. I do. Ryan Harrison is a good man. My son deserves 2 fathers. The judge turned to Darius. Darius Cole, do you consent to being adopted by Ryan Harrison? Darius, holding both fathers' hands, nodded. Yes, Your Honor. The judge smiled. Then by the power vested in me, I declare this adoption legal and binding. Darius, your legal name is now Darius Cole Harrison. The gavel came down. The room erupted in applause. Media waited outside. The story went global. Tech billionaire adopts teen who saved his life. Teen's father had saved him 15 years earlier. CNN, BBC, the story of kindness passing forward across generations. Darius started at Purdue that January. His roommate was another Everyday Heroes Fund recipient, a kid from Appalachia who'd saved a family from a house fire. First week, Darius was overwhelmed, but he fought through. His professors noticed. You ask the best questions. You think like someone who solved real problems. Weekends, he drove home to Gary, helped with groceries, played games with Maya. True to his word, he never abandoned his family. Spring break, he reported to Harrison Tech for his first apprenticeship. Worked with senior engineers on the autonomous rescue drone prototype. His input changed everything. In real rescues, you don't have time for 12 steps. Make it 2. Deploy and go. The engineers listened, redesigned the entire interface. By summer, the media storm had grown. Ryan and Darius did joint interviews. Their dynamic was genuine, warm, father and son. Ryan announced the expansion of the Everyday Heroes Fund. $500 million, 1,000 scholarships over 10 years. Applications flooded in, stories of ordinary people doing extraordinary things. Darius became the face of the campaign, though uncomfortable with attention. Ryan coached him. Your story gives people hope. Back in Gary, things started changing. Lou's Marina got funding for a youth water safety program, teaching kids rescue swimming and CPR. Darius volunteered every summer. Maya's school received a $2 million grant from Harrison Tech for STEM labs, computers, robotics, coding classes. Maya became coding club president, started dreaming of Purdue. Grandma Lorraine, with healthcare stabilized, returned to volunteering. At a community center Ryan funded. She ran a kindness mentorship program, teaching kids her philosophy. Needed and deserved are different things. The warehouse where Darius used to work, same place Antoine saved Ryan, got renovated. Harrison Tech created a job training program for people re-entering society. Antoine ran it. The Second Chance Initiative. First year, 100 people placed in tech jobs, 89% retention. Antoine became a national speaker on criminal justice reform. Told his story. Told how one billionaire's gratitude changed a community. June, 1 year after the rescue. Ryan held a press conference on Lake Michigan's shore near the crash site. Unveiled the final prototype, a sleek autonomous drone for water rescues. AI-guided, rapid deployment, solar-powered. Official name, the Antoine Project. Field tests showed it could reach a drowning victim in under 3 minutes, faster than any human response. Coast Guard partnered with Harrison Tech, deployed 50 units across the Great Lakes. First successful rescue happened in August. A child pulled from a riptide by an Antoine drone. The child's mother, in tears, "Who do I thank for this?" Darius, watching from his dorm, whispered, "You just did." By sophomore year, Darius had designed 3 additional systems: night vision, ice water protocols, multi-victim triage. He was published in a maritime safety journal at age 20. Michael Harrison, Ryan's biological son, had been skeptical at first, felt replaced, but over months, he and Darius grew close. Michael told Ryan, "Dad, I get it now. Darius isn't replacing me. He's completing our family." Ryan cried when he heard that. Sunday dinners became tradition. Sometimes in Chicago, sometimes in Gary, sometimes at Grandma's. Thomas the pilot always came. Lou drove up. Maya brought friends. It wasn't just a family anymore. It was a community, built on one act of courage in freezing water, built on one act of kindness in a parking lot 15 years before, built on the simple idea that when you save someone, you don't just change their life, you change everyone they touch. The story could end there, but the best stories never really end. They echo. 2 years after the rescue, Darius Cole Harrison was a junior at Purdue, top of his class. Published researcher, already fielding job offers, but he was staying with Harrison Tech, building the Antoine Project 2.0 for his senior thesis. Maya was a high school sophomore, early admission offers from MIT and Stanford sitting on the table. She couldn't decide. Antoine was thriving. His Second Chance Initiative had placed 347 people in jobs. He'd become a national voice on criminal justice reform. Grandma Lorraine was healthy, active, beloved in the community, still volunteering, still teaching kindness. Ryan and Darius had Sunday dinners every week, sometimes with Michael, always with Antoine. The family had grown in ways nobody predicted. Thomas the pilot was now Ryan's VP of operations and Darius's godfather. Thanksgiving Day, 2 years and 1 month after the crash. Ryan's Chicago penthouse was packed, a massive table. Ryan at one end, Antoine at the other. Between them, Darius, Maya, Grandma, Michael and his fiancée, Thomas, Lou, and half a dozen Second Chance graduates. Food everywhere. Laughter is constant. Ryan stood to toast. 15 years ago, a stranger saved my life in a parking lot. 3 years ago, his son saved my life from a sinking plane. Today, we're not strangers. We're family. Antoine stood. To second chances. For all of us. Darius. To the people who see us when we're invisible. Maya. To dads. I've got the best 2 plus 1. Grandma Lorraine. To kindness. It always comes back around. They drank. Ate. Celebrated. The next morning, Lakefront Marina. The anniversary tradition. Teaching kids water safety. Darius, Antoine, and Ryan stood at the water's edge. A group of children gathered around, mostly from low-income neighborhoods. A young black boy, maybe 10, stood apart, afraid of the water. Darius walked over, knelt beside him. I was scared, too. But someone taught me. Courage isn't not being afraid. Courage is doing it anyway. The boy looked up. Why do you do this for free? Darius smiled, looked back at Antoine and Ryan watching, turned to the boy. Just pass it forward, little man. Someday you'll understand. The boy nodded, took Darius's hand. Together they walked toward the water. Behind them, Antoine and Ryan stood side by side, watching the next generation learn. That kindness isn't a transaction. It's a legacy. The lake was calm, sun glinting on the surface where a plane had once sunk, where 2 lives had been saved, where a circle 15 years in the making had closed, and where a new circle was just beginning. Darius didn't save Ryan Harrison because he knew who he was. He did it because it was right, and that one decision didn't just change his life. It reunited him with his father, created a new family, and sparked a movement that's changed thousands of lives through the Everyday Heroes Fund and the Antoine Project. The truth is, we all have a moment like this coming, a chance to choose courage over comfort, to see someone struggling and decide, I can help. You don't need wealth or status, you just need to show up when it matters. If this story moved you, share it. Let it remind someone that their small act of kindness might be the first link in a chain that changes everything, maybe even across generations. Hit that like button if you believe in everyday heroes. Subscribe for more real-life stories of courage and redemption. Drop a comment. What's one act of kindness you've witnessed that changed a life? Let's build a community that passes it forward.